Buying an HDB together is a big step for any couple. It's not just about getting a house. It's about making a big decision that will change your life together. But what happens when things don't go as planned? Can the stress of buying a home actually break up a relationship? Let's talk about how to handle the pressure and keep your relationship strong during the BTO process. Section 1. Why buying an HDB affects relationships. When you buy a home together, you're making a long-term commitment. You're not just committing to each other, but to the financial responsibility of owning a home. This can cause stress. You have to think about money, future plans, and living together in a small space. These things can bring up a lot of emotions. Some couples argue about finances. Others realize they aren't ready to live together. Buying a home forces you to think about all these things, which is why it can affect your relationship so much. Section 2. Common challenges couples face. 1. Big challenge is money. For many couples, money can be a sensitive topic. You have to decide how much you're both willing to spend on the flat and whether you can afford it. If one person is more careful with money than the other, it can cause problems. Another challenge is future planning. Buying an HDB means you're both looking ahead to the next few years, even decades. This can bring up important questions. Do you both want the same things? Are you planning to start a family? How do you imagine your life together? Then there's the issue of space. HDB flats are cozy, but small. Living together in a small space can be challenging, especially if one or both of you are used to having more room. There might be disagreements about how to organize things, or even who gets which side of the bed. Lastly, the BTO process itself can be stressful. There are long waiting periods, uncertainty, and tons of paperwork. It's easy for this stress to spill over into your relationship. Section 3. How to avoid money problems. One of the best ways to avoid arguments about money is to be open and honest from the start. Talk about your finances early on. How much do each of you earn? How much do you have saved? How much are you willing to spend on the flat? And how will you split the cost? It's important to be realistic about what you can afford. Don't stretch yourself too thin just to get a bigger or nicer flat. Remember, you'll need to live within your means, not just during the buying process, but after you move in too. A great tip is to create a budget together. Sit down and go through your expenses. See how much you can comfortably save for the flat and make sure both of you are on the same page. This way, there are no surprises later on. Section 4. Talking about future plans. Before you buy a flat, you need to make sure you're both heading in the same direction. Ask each other some important questions. Do we want to have children? If so, when? How long do we plan to live in this flat? What are our career plans? Do either of us want to work overseas? How do we see our lives in 5 or 10 years? These are big questions, but they're necessary. Buying a flat is a long-term commitment, and you need to be sure that your goals are aligned. It's okay if you don't have all the answers right now, but it's important to talk about them. Also, be prepared to compromise. You may not agree on everything, but that's okay. The key is to communicate openly and come to an agreement that works for both of you. Section 5. Managing stress. During the BTO process. The BTO process can be long and frustrating. You may have to wait years before your flat is ready. During this time, it's easy to become anxious or impatient. But remember, this is normal. To manage the stress, try to focus on things you can control. For example, make sure all your paperwork is in order. Stay updated on the progress of your flat, but don't obsess over it. Use this waiting period to strengthen your relationship. Another tip is to support each other during the stressful moments. If one of you is feeling anxious about the flat, talk about it. Be patient and listen to each other's concerns. Remember, you're in this together, and don't forget to take breaks. Plan fun activities together that don't involve talking about the BTO process. Sometimes it helps to step away from the stress for a while. Section 6. living together in a small space. When you finally move into your flat, living together can be both exciting and challenging. You'll be sharing a small space, which means you'll need to learn how to compromise and communicate even more. One tip is to set some boundaries early on. For example, decide together how you want to organize the flat. Who will handle what chores? How will you divide the space so that both of you feel comfortable? It's also important to respect each other's personal space. Even in a small flat, you both need time to yourself. Make sure you have some alone time to relax and recharge. At the same time, make an effort to do things together. Whether it's cooking, watching a movie, or just talking, spending quality time together will help you stay connected. Section 7. Dealing with relationship problems. Even the strongest couples will face challenges during the BTO process. If you find yourselves arguing more than usual, don't panic. It's normal for stress to cause tension. The most important thing is to talk about your problems openly. Don't let small issues build up until they turn into bigger problems. If you're upset about something, talk about it calmly. Try to understand each other's perspectives and find a solution together. If you're struggling to communicate, consider seeking help from a relationship counselor. Sometimes having a third person can help you see things more clearly. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. The goal is to strengthen your relationship, not let the stress tear you apart. Section 8. Red flags to watch out. For while it's normal to have some disagreements during the BTO process, there are some red flags you should watch out for. One big red flag is if you and your partner have completely different life goals. For example, if one of you wants to start a family soon, but the other doesn't, this could lead to serious problems later on. Another red flag is if your partner is unwilling to compromise. Buying a flat and living together requires both of you to make compromises. If one person refuses to budge on important issues, it could be a sign of deeper relationship problems. Lastly, watch out for constant fighting. While it's normal to have arguments, if you find yourselves fighting all the time, it could be a sign that something isn't right. Section 9. The importance of communication. At the end of the day, the key to surviving the BTO process is communication. Be open and honest with each other. Talk about your concerns, your hopes, and your expectations. Remember, you're not just buying a flat, you're building a future together. The BTO process can be stressful, but it's also an opportunity to grow closer as a couple. By communicating and supporting each other, you'll come out stronger on the other side. So, is it BTO or breakup? The answer depends on how well you and your partner can handle the challenges that come with buying a home. With open communication, realistic expectations, and a lot of patience, you can turn this stressful process into a journey that brings you closer together. Just remember, the flat is just a part of your story. The most important thing is the relationship you're building inside it.